Hey everybody, it's Patty here, and I have a really special guest that is going to be sharing her story. Her name is Dana, and I met her in our Facebook support group. And if you've been following our videos, you may have found one of our videos that's called "The Stages of Candida Overgrowth," and figuring out which stage that you are actually can really help you understand how many cleanses you're going to need. If you're stage 1 or 2, you might not need as many cleanses as somebody who's like a stage 4. And so I'm really excited to have Dana share, because she was about a stage 1, 2-ish, I think, and I'll have her just share her story with you. So I just want to welcome you, Dana. Thank you so much for agreeing to share your story with us. Tell us a little bit about about yourself and where you were before you found Candida Cleanser.
Okay, well, hello everyone. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so happy to help and share my story. Yeah, I think I was probably about 1 or maybe on the verge of 2 stage. And my issues was that I was always having like headaches, indigestion. I was bloated. I just didn't feel good. I was always having like lady problems, and it's just just was feeling like something wasn't right. And I knew that like I was getting thrush on my tongue sometimes, and like I just knew something wasn't right. I was always having constant headaches. And yeah, it just sucked. And searched the internet for everything until I came to you guys. So to the cleanser. And yeah, so I did the first round and was like, "Oh, this is working. I'm feeling much better." Um then of course I slipped and I started to eat whatever I wanted again. And so I thought, well, I'll do another cleanse. Did another cleanse, and then now I'm at where I'm at. So yeah, so I did another cleanse, and so I've only done 2 cleanses, and it was like perfect. It like worked perfectly, and I haven't had a problem now for 6 months.
Awesome. How long had you been having symptoms like that in your life? Like, did you track it down when you looked at the stages and everything?
Yeah, I started so I'm 31 now, and I remember I took antibiotics when I was 18. The first time and the only time I've ever taken antibiotics, and I can remember that's when it started. And then I drank a lot in my my 20s. I drank a lot and I ate just bad. And that's when I noticed that like I kind of was always okay then. I would just have flare-ups here and there. And then I started really noticing it, like it was getting to the point where I was having yeast infections like once every month for, oh man, like yeah, it was just every like for like years. So when I like about 2 years ago, I was starting to get to the point where I was like, just it was just wrecking my life. So that's when I found you guys.
Wow, wow, that's so crazy. I mean, we hear it a lot in the group, like people just having like chronic reoccurring, and it's really interesting that you could trace it back to that first round of antibiotics. And then did you end up having to do more? Did they put you on more antibiotics? And were you ever on birth control? Because I was on birth control for a period, and I think that
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. I kind of like I was with like yeah, I kind of talked to my husband about it, and I was like, "Hey, I got to figure out what's going on." So I researched it to the like the nth degree, and I said I don't want to be on birth control. So like we tried every other natural way. So I was like, yeah, so I went off birth control, um which I think definitely helped, but it takes a while, and I don't think people realize that they want a quick fix. And I went on birth control, and I think it takes a while to get out of your system for one thing. And so yeah, so I did that. And then I did the gut cleanse, and I did because I would start watching like your videos and about like doing bone broth. I incorporate bone broth about once a week now into my diet, which is like one of the best things you can do. And so now I just pretty much do absolutely everything that you can imagine to maintain my health.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
And did you feel like the cleanse changed, like how fast did you feel like the cleanse was working? Like you felt like the first one worked and then kind of reinfected yourself very like.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of did like I did the cleanse really well and everything, and then I kind of went back to my normal eating habits and I ate whatever I wanted and I drank. And I really notice now that like if I drink alcohol and I drink and I have like lots of sugary or lots of carby things with alcohol together, that's when I know, okay, like you can't do that. You can't have those like that as much. Like, but it's funny because now that I really believe I'm healed. I can actually have a little bit of alcohol and I can have a little bit of carbs. I can have a little bit of sugar. I just have to be balanced with it.
Yeah.
So like I had a piece of cake yesterday and I'm okay today. I just know that this morning I haven't had any sugary things. I had to drink a lot of water. I had to just keep myself checked. Like I had to check myself. So I don't know what your actual question was from
I
you.
think it's helpful just to hear, to get the feedback for people because until you get rid of the candida at the root, every little thing can make it just explode in your
Yeah.
system. But once you have eliminated it at the root with the CCWS cleanse, and then you do a little bit of gut healing if you need the gut healing,
Yeah.
even myself now compared to where I was a couple years ago. And, keep in mind, I started my first cleanse in 2013 and I was stage
Oh,
4.
wow.
I needed years of gut healing for my gut to be
Right.
able to eat certain things that I can eat a little, sometimes I'll even sneak a little gluten just to experiment, like a little bit of bread. I took a little bread at this conference and I was totally fine. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this is amazing. But it's been years for me. But for you, it's been, so from start to finish, when did you do that cleanse?
Okay.
You said you've been totally symptom free for about 6 months now.
Yeah, I did the first cleanse about a year and a half ago, I think it was.
Mhm.
And yeah, and yeah, worked. It worked. Everything was good. Kind of got back into my habits. And I just had a flare up again. And I was like, oh, seriously? So I thought, well, let's do the cleanse again. So I did the cleanse again. And then just kept doing, and I do everything. Like I do bone broth, I do baking soda, I do I what do they call that? Ionic silver. I do like a bunch of other things now to keep maintaining my health. And so it's been now 6, 7 months, I think it has been, since I've had any problems. And I can always tell if something's gonna go on in my system is if I start getting that like little film of wet on my tongue, then I'm like, okay, it's almost like a warning. I'm like, oh, okay, I need to like check myself. I need to, and like you were saying that you can do the cleanse like just like a little bits here and there just to kind of maintain. And that's actually what I want to get that, because that would be great just to maintain it. But now what I do is I just do like baking soda and like water, or I do like lots and lots of like water flushes, stuff like that, just to keep myself. Or I do like green juice, like I drink lots of green juice, like to alkaline your body, or make soup. So I kind of am always like keeping it like at my back of my head, that I'm like, okay, I have to keep myself balanced, like maintain balance with my body.
Right.
So
Did it change your willpower and your taste buds to do the cleanse?
oh gosh. Well, I think like I actually, because I went through so many like health changes because I was a vegan for a while. And even though I respect vegans, I learned about I kind of like did a whole like body, like figuring out my body, and I realized that like I don't know if you're familiar with like the ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph.
I'm not yet, no.
Okay. Okay. So like these are really interesting. Everyone fits in a body type, and I'm trying to, I'll keep this kind of simple, but basically like if you figure out your body type, you kind of figure out what works for you. So I'm an endomorph. So basically my body type is like people with have bigger hips, just they can put on muscle easier. You have those friends that always can eat anything they want. Usually they're considered ectomorphs, very slim. Mesomorphs, people who are like very active and fit. And anyway, basically I figured out my body type. I don't do very well with sugar. I do actually way better with fats. So I kind of vegan, I love the lifestyle and I love the thought behind it. And I remember when I first started talking to you, I was a vegan. I was like, what do I do? So I did change it. I try to eat like, I do eat animals now, and I tried to do as humanely as possible. But I did notice though that like once I cut down on the amount of fruit and the amount of sugar and the amount of carbs, and I was eating more fat and more whole foods, I feel so much better. and so much better. And I look better. I've lost weight. I've like my skin's better. I don't have as much acne. Like just so like pretty much everything since doing the cleanse has been improved.
So
So yeah,
awesome. I mean,
yeah,
it
been
kind of
great.
it did the exact same thing for me. Like I had been hearing about like paleo, and I've been hearing about ketogenic and
Hmm.
hearing about a lot of these things that are supposed to, even like low caloric diets. I kind of just naturally eat now a low caloric diet. Like I don't stuff myself with food all day. Like when I was
Mm.
being vegetarian, I basically ate all day. And now
Mm.
I eat like two smaller meat, well, one small meal and then a dinner that's a little bit bigger, kind of
Hmm.
my your meal. And that is actually what a lot of these doctors like Joseph Mercola or Dr. Eric Berg and Mark Hyman, like they talk a lot about paleo and low caloric diets are
Hmm.
actually a lot better for us. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. I could never have imagined I would eat like this until
Mm.
after the cleanse kind of changed everything. So it sounds like before you did the cleanse, it was like a lot of headaches, and
Constant headaches.
recurring. It was just constant for like for like decades.
Yeah.
For years, for over
Yeah.
a decade.
Yeah. And it
And
would like come and go, and it would come and go. And I kind of can notice like too, like what I was doing with my health. The more that I was eating crappy, the more I was drinking, the worse it would get. But it makes
mhm,
sense. But then I was like to a point where I'm like, okay, my body is telling me like you're doing something wrong. And I think that's really important. Sometimes I think people, especially because I read a lot of the forum and on the Facebook chat, and like I can tell that people are just frustrated and like, what is wrong with my body? And it's like, instead of thinking something's wrong with your body, just think of it as like, it's telling you a warning sign. Like there is something, like there's a reason why you're getting this. It's giving you a little warning sign saying like you're getting a headache. It's a warning sign. You're doing something wrong, right? Like you got to just do something, like change it. And I think also something that's really important. I want to say that like it takes some time and be okay with that. Like you gave yourself, I gave myself 10 years of probably treating myself, you know, like I was a 20-year-old. I drank and partied and ate pizza with my friends late at night. And like I did it for like 10 years, and then finally it caught up with me. And now it's taking maybe like, you know, a year and a half, 2 years to get myself back on track. That's not that long. That's not that long for your body, but people want a quick fix. And that's like something that you just have to like, it's okay. It takes some time, you
yeah,
know?
it's really good advice, and I agree. And it's like and then also just really empower yourself with as much information and knowledge. And I so appreciate you sharing your perspective, Dana, because it is really hopeful, I think, for people to see somebody who um, can have such great results in one or two cleanses and
Mm.
still be able to have flexibility with your diet, because we do see a lot of people in our Facebook group who end up needing more support for longer because
Yeah.
you're like me, who started at stage 4,
Mm.
like thinking they're dying. That's how I felt when I found Candida Cleanser, was I felt like I was dying, and I was just so terrified to go down the medical route. And this was like my last resort because it's alternative, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so you know, when people do join the group, you'll hear a lot from people who are having to go through very strict elimination diet, and that's because they're stage 3, stage 4. It means that you
Yeah.
have a leaky gut, like really severe, and probably for a long time. I think it's amazing that the first time you had antibiotics was when you were 18, because I think by
Yeah.
the time I was 18, I had already had antibiotics like 3
I'm like, I have like a very like good immune system. My mother breastfeed for way too long. Like I know that like I just am like I hardly ever get like colds and stuff like that. Like I don't get sick very often. I'm a substitute teacher and I should get sick a lot more than I do. So I think my body like just like wants to be in a state of healthiness. And I think it was like this big warning sign or this big like something's not right, but let's do some stuff to fix it. And it feels so good now to feel healthy and feel like, oh, just like I don't even think about this problem anymore. I honestly, I go onto the Facebook forum once in a while because I see people being like, help, I'm in like horrible conditions. And I'm like, oh, I remember being like that. And then I'll write like a little post and be like, this is everything I do. I hope this helps. But I don't even think about it anymore. That's how like gone I am from the problem. Like, it's just like, now, like it's on the back of my head where like I can like little times like I'll see someone eating candy and I just laugh and I'm that's Candida right there. Like for me, if I was to eat a bag of candy, I'm like I'm gonna get Candida from that. Like I still have it in the back of my head, but now it's so easy. Now it's just like it's effortless. I do have a glass of wine with my friends. After I have a glass of wine, I go home, I do some baking soda. I like the next day, I don't do that. I drink some water. I take lots of green juice. I eat lots of salads and I let it go. Like, and maybe I might feel a little bit like, oh, the next day, or like I might get something like a little bit on my tongue once in a while. But like if I'm keeping myself in check, then it's like I can have those little treats, but they're little treats,
Yeah.
not like binging and just enjoying like a full cake or whatever.
Okay.
They're little treats. Yeah, little treats. But
Um,
you don't have to deny. Do you know? Like once you get to the stage that I am, I think that you don't have to deny yourself the little treats once in a while. And I think that's a really hardship for a lot of people because they're like, can I never have pizza? Can I never have cake? Can I never have wine? Can I never like go out with my friends? And you might not be at the stage that you can do that, but once you get to the stage that you can, there's hope. There's hope.
there's hope. I'm
Yeah.
living proof that there's hope.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wanted to ask you, Dana, so how bad, like compare your cleanses, like how bad was your die off as a stage to that first time and then comparatively even the second time that you did it?
Yeah, okay. I know because a lot of people ask me that. Like I'll write on the post and they'll be like, how was your die off? And like I didn't get that much. I honestly like I got another yeast infection when I was dying off, which really sucked because I was like, I'm taking these pills. Like, why am I getting this? But it makes sense because your body is trying to like cleanse itself. It's trying to get rid of everything, like get rid of the yeast in your body. It's not a bad thing. It's trying to get rid of it. And so I felt like more headaches, little lethargic, tired, um, sometimes maybe a little bit of an upset stomach. But like I said, I was only like one or two, so it wasn't that bad of a die off. Definitely doable for me. Like it was just like, well, I had to maybe go to bed early that night or like, take an Advil, and it wasn't that bad. The second time that I did it, I didn't really feel much at all. Really was like it was a piece of cake. It was like, yeah, without eating the cake. It was easy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I would have suspected too. That's what I've heard from people over the last, I mean, I created this Facebook group in 2013 and have been basically helping people coach them through this cleanse since then. And whenever we have stage 1 or 2, sometimes they message me and they're like, I don't think it's working. I don't feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh, okay.
but then they're feeling better. They're just, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, are you feeling good? And they're like, actually, yeah, I feel a lot better. I have more energy.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people in stage 1, they might not have anything, or you might have, like, if you have reoccurring yeast infections, you get that one more kind of
Yeah.
yeast infection as your body's pushing it out,
Right.
which
Okay.
makes sense because that was where the infection was living,
Yeah.
or oral thrush or skin stuff. But sometimes
Yeah.
people in stage 1 or 2, they don't really feel die off, or they feel it a little bit in the very beginning of the first cleanse. And this is a great example hearing your story, Dana. And for myself, my first cleanse had the most active kind of throughout pretty much the whole 45 days for me.
Yeah.
Second cleanse, a few things here and there throughout the cleanse, but it was nothing like my first one. I've done it annually every year since that first cleanse. And then occasionally when I'm doing liver cleansing, I've taken a few CCWS pills because I felt like the liver cleansing was pushing
Okay.
Candida out of my liver, and it was like reinfecting my sinuses, and I would have all
Right.
the symptoms come up. And so I would take a few pills. But other than that, I've taken it annually. So that's basically 5 full cleanses, and then let's
Oh
say
wow.
another cleanse that might have been sprinkled in through here and there. But the last couple of full cleanses that I did, I don't feel anything anymore. I don't feel like die off like the
Yeah.
way that you do the first time you do it, especially.
Yeah.
If you're stage 4, like there are people who have shared that they do like 3 CCWS in a row, back to back to back to back.
Right.
And if you do that, you really want to make sure you're cleansing your liver, keeping your bowels moving, and everybody's different. Like everybody's bodies are different. Some people do them back to back. Somebody spaced them out a little bit. I did mine
Mhm.
annually because I just didn't know, but it
Yeah,
worked, and it
yeah,
does
it
every.
works. Yeah, it's amazing. Honestly, like if people are watching this and they haven't tried it, just try it. Like just give it a go. It worked. It worked for me. And I searched the web for anything. Like I was just and like the only thing I really found that was like it was just like, eating like no fruits, no carbs, like doing that like totally diet, like kill like doing that whole like diet where you're just completely eliminating everything, like the elimination diet. But that was it. There was nothing else to take with it. And this is like when you learn exactly what this is, it makes perfect sense. You're like, well, of course that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I feel so much better now. It's like I said, like it's just out of my worry. It's just like it's just gone. And I remember being in that place where I was always stressed about it and always focusing on it and always like frustrated because it's just so annoying and it's like just always part of your everyday because you take your body wherever you go and you're always like it's always there. But now it's just like, oh, I don't have to worry about it. It's just done. It's great.
Do you have any advice to our viewers and our cleansers who might be watching? Like, what would you say to them with
Oh, just
this now?
like the fact that there's hope, give it time. You've probably spent a lot of years, like I said before, you probably spent a lot of years abusing your body in some form and like just give it time and then also let go of like the anger because that's like a big thing. I think like you get really frustrated when your body's not working and you're like, why aren't you working? Why am I getting this headache? Or why do I have this rash? Or like why can I like my stomach is always bloated or why am I always gaining weight? Like there's always this hate on your body for not working correctly. And like once you let that go, like once you let hate go and like you kind of like change your vocabulary to being like my body is working the way it should be working and like changing your vocabulary and just like letting like the biggest thing is letting go of that like oh that's just that stressed out feeling and just being like it's working, it's going to work, and my body knows what it's doing, it wants to be in balance. So yeah, I think that really helped me. And like I did a lot of just like meditating in the sense, not even like traditional meditating, but just like relaxing about it, not thinking about it so much, just like letting it go. And that really helped me. So
Right. Thank you. Thank
yeah.
you for that. And then one last thing, and then we'll
Mhm.
close this out. You mentioned that sometimes you pop on the group because you hear people struggling, and you give
Yeah.
kind of like your list of here are the things that have worked for me. Like, what is that list of things?
Okay, my big list. Okay, so um baking soda in water, half a teaspoon in water. That was one of the best things that I've found. That also really helps hangovers. Um, I just avoid sugar now, in like artificial sugar, like candy. You don't need it. Like if you want to eat a candy, have an apple. And then once you start doing that, your body will enjoy the apple. It'll taste sweet again. It'll taste delicious again. Um, what other do I do? I do Nutrisilver, which is like another like thing that you can do to, I don't know if you're familiar, like what is it? Ionic. Is it ionic? Or it's like
Colloidal. Colloidal.
yeah, colloidal silver. I do a little bit of that. I do borac acid as well. Um, yes, are you familiar with borac acid?
I've heard of it. I haven't tried it yet. Heard
Yeah.
that.
Oh, and I probiotics. I do take like a female probiotics that's like 50 billion or something like that. Try to take that often. I do like green juice. Either it's like I buy green juice, make green juice, or I just do like a powder form. If you're busy, just do it. Like you can buy at the health stores like any powder form. I do that. Lots of water. I increase my water probably like double. So I have like one of these jugs. I probably have like 4 or 5 of these jugs every day. Probably like 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 2 at night. Probably like so. I really drink a lot of water. Um, what else do I do? Those are the big ones. Get sleep. I do take Shakeology, which I do like any protein shake. I do that every morning. I like Shakeology, but I mean, any protein shake is probably good just to like it just helps you know have those cravings, the sugar cravings, and oh, bone broth. We said that bone broth. I do that often. And then yeah, I'm totally going to like try doing a maintenance because I always kind of wanted to do like a maintenance with the Candida Cleanser. I always wanted to do a maintenance. But I've been so good that I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. But yeah, like I said, I did 2 rounds of it, and I it was the one that like because I was doing everything else that I just said, but that was the one that like changed it for me. I did the cleanse, and then all of a sudden everything was like started working, and everything was like starting to get better. But it does take time, so just give yourself that time. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. But there's
So,
hope. There's hope for you. Don't worry too much. There's hope. Yeah.
yay. Thank you so much
Yay.
again, Dana. Thanks so much for
Yeah.
sharing
Thanks for having
your
me.
wisdom and your tips
Yes.
and also just your love and care for other people in the group.
Oh,
I think
thanks.
there's something about this experience. It's like when you have struggled and
Yeah.
there's no way out, and then you suddenly experience the clarity
Yeah.
after the cleanse. It
Hmm.
does something to you. It's just
It
like
really does.
because it
Yeah.
makes you realize how much people are probably struggling too.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well,
Yeah. And like so many people have so many health problems and just day-to-day life. Like it's just like you have so much stuff already on your day-to-day life to keep you busy. You don't need this additive, right? You don't need this to weigh you down. And so something that like I know when I go on to the chats, I just want to help people because I know how frustrating it is. It's just so annoying, but there is hope. So yeah, I hope people try it out. I mean, give it a go. Like, what do you got to lose? Nothing, right? Try it.
and so, thank you so much again, Dana,
Thank
and thank
you.
you everybody who is watching. If you have not yet tried the CCWS cleanse, Candida cleanser, that has changed my life, that changed Dana's life, and all of these other people in these interviews and in our Facebook group, then I hope you'll join us. And this video is going to be updated with all of the links to our Facebook group and everything. So we will see you in there. I'm pretty much active in it almost every day. So I'll talk
You're
to
great.
you.
You're very helpful. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you again, Dana. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.